Hey guys, I'm Kyle and welcome back to another video. So this is the second video in the start of this series on this 1997 TJ that I bought. And today we're going to be doing fabricating a front bumper. So the bumper that was on it, I decided just to put a new coat of paint on that and sell it and make my own because I like welding. So if you have watched the other videos on my channel, you did see me build a custom bumper a couple years ago. So I'm going to keep this one pretty brief. I'll just kind of explain the thoughts behind my design process. So let's get started. So like I said in the last video, the main idea behind this build is just going to be simple, cheap, and practical. So I'm not going to get too crazy with the design, but part of the reason I wanted to build my own was because I didn't like the way the factory bumpers mounted. These threads are just real old and rusty, and I didn't have a lot of faith in them for running a 12K winch. So I am going to weld a plate onto the top of the frame, and then I will probably weld a plate on the front of the frame for a lower mount, and just kind of make my own mounts here. So for that's mounting. I think I'm just going to run bolts through the top plate on the bumper, which is also the winch plate. And then design wise, the distance that I picked, I think I'm going to go with the inside distance between these fog lamps. So I'll measure that. That'll get me my bumper width to cut my top plate, winch plate, and then I will start making the reinforcement plates to weld onto there and go from there. All right, so now, even after just cutting the first piece, design's already starting to change, because I'm looking at, I have 6.5 inches wide here, and my winch is 6 inches wide. So I don't really have room to make this plate any more narrow, at least in the center. And I have at least 2 inches outside the frame. So what I'm looking at now is possibly just using, instead of threading 2 holes on each side of my own mounts, I'm thinking about just trying to tuck this plate in with those bolts, use that mount, and then make one of my own. So I think I'm going to go down that path a little bit and see if that's an option here. All right, so already the fun of rust begins, because whatever, this bolt came out just fine, but whatever threaded stud you saw was in this hole was not the original hardware. And of course, when I tried to break it loose with the breaker bar, it broke the threaded part that was welded to the inside of the frame. So the only way to get that one out was to cut it. And now I'm dealing with where to go from here, because I don't think, I was just going to run a thread directly through that bracket and the frame for a 1/2 inch bolt. But I don't think that's a good solution, because my guess would be, I can't really see it, but my guess is that the hole in the frame is oversized, kind of like these front two are, and it would not have strong threads that bite into it. So now I'm going to have to try to get those bolts out, and I think I'm just going to try to slide my frame plate all the way under this whole section, going all the way back to those bolts. All right, just wanted to give you guys a quick update here. So I got the plates welded to the top of the frame. I'll take the bumper off and show you that. And I got those 4 holes threaded. The back holes for the sway bar, I'm reusing the original sway bar bolts. So next step here is going to be kind of adding the finishing pieces to the bumper. I'm going to have a angled piece right there. Start drawing up my end cap for the side of the bumper. And then I'm going to have to start cutting out the fair lead mount for the winch, get my winch mounting holes drilled, and I got these 1-inch shackle mounts just on Amazon that will go something like that. All right, so this is what that plate looks like that I welded onto the frame with the 1/2-inch threads in it. And because I think the sway bar needs to sit on a flat surface, if I tucked the bumper under the sway bar, I think that bushing, the rubber bushing, would probably have too much play in it. So I am going to tuck the sway bar bracket under the bumper. So on this hole, the bumper will sit on top of that sway bar bracket. And to match up with that, I just got these 5/8 washers for the front. I will tack weld them on there and then cut the extra off. But that way my bumper still sits flat with a bracket on each side. This is also my first time using weld through primer. So anytime I have surfaces that will not be able to be painted later, 2 pieces of metal that are up against each other, such as the frame and this plate, and now this plate and the washer. I've seen this stuff used a lot in fabrication. Steel It is the most popular brand, but I went with a cheaper option. I think it's still working just fine. And the idea is that, you know, since you could have moisture get in between those 2 layers, now it should not rust because that primer is on there. All right, so this is the part of the project where I start to get really excited because you can really see what the finished bumper is going to look like starting to come together. So I got those little 45-degree corner pieces put on, and I got the shackle mounts put on, and I tied into the factory mounts on the bottom of the frame. So even though this is still a flat bar mount, as you can tell, I'm using 1/4-inch steel there, and it is a very short distance from that bolt to the bumper. So I'm happy with how strong that's going to be. Really happy with getting back to welding. It has been quite a while since I've had a good welding project. And well, I did a sheet metal project, but sheet metal welds don't look like the thick stuff does. So glad to be back at it, and I'll keep going. All right, so I'm about to put it all together here. As you can see, we got that all sanded and painted. The last time I test fit it, I couldn't quite get it in all the way to the bolt holes. So I grinded some metal out of there, try to match the sway bar because I think that's where it was hitting. So we'll see if I can get it all the way in and get it bolted on. And it'll stay on for quite a few months until I pull the winch off my current Jeep. And then I was originally gonna make my own, cut my own Fairlead mount out of steel, but this Fairlead mount at Harbor Freight is only 20 bucks, and it saves me a bunch of fabrication trying to make get the whole saw to go through steel myself. So I'm just going to use that. And when I have the winch for it, I will drill the holes in my bumper, and that is how the 12K winch will mount. So I decided to go, as you can see, super simple with the bumper design. I thought about adding another piece here, but I actually kind of liked that this will be a horizontal flat surface if I needed to put either like a jack stand or a floor jack there. Gives me kind of a nice surface to use. All right, well, it has been a couple weeks, but finally got the bumper done, got it installed. Only thing that's missing is the winch, because it's still gonna be at least a couple months before I wanna pull the winch off of my new Jeep. I'm probably gonna still take that one out in the winter and not this one. So I want to have the winch on that Jeep. But let me show you the bumper. So that is what it looks like, all installed. I haven't decided if I'm going to paint that hardware black or not. Obviously, with it being a bolt head, the paint's going to get pretty destroyed anytime you take it on and off. So I'm thinking I might just leave them the way that it is. But I'm pretty happy with how that bumper turned out, and I definitely have a lot more faith in that being 6 1/2-inch bolts, especially if like when I picked it up, I flat towed it home, and if I do flat tow it, I'll be a lot more confident in the way that is mounted to the frame now. Fit very nicely with the sway bar, and should work great for a winch. Thanks for staying to the end, checking out this little bumper video. Yeah, stay tuned for more projects, suspension, paint, lots of good stuff coming for this Jeep. See you next time.